Get our recording up and rolling so that those who can't be with us live can come back and revisit class at their own leisure. Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga for Purpose, with Purpose, Yoga with Purpose. And this format is kind of evolving as I give consideration as to what I would like to work on and feedback from all of you. And I've had some special requests for some low back, some obliques, some neck work. And so I thought, well, today will be the purpose of the spine. So there's many purposes that our spine has, but I'm just going to focus on, as we go through some gentle movement before we come down to the floor, let's think about the cervical spine, and this is the neck. And I'd like for you to come into that nice neutral posture where if I take my finger and my thumb and make an L, I have my thumb attached to the sternum and my finger attached right underneath the chin. So if we move our head out of alignment, we'll find, or up or down, we lose that connection. So keeping that connection, just I want you to start to tilt your head from side to side. And this connection is still the same as we move through what we call lateral flexion of the neck. And then I'll talk a little bit about the anatomy of the spine. So your cervical spine or your neck has 7 vertebrae. And the purpose of those 7 vertebrae mostly is to support the weight of your head. And then it also provides rotation. So let's start to turn the head from right to left. And we're still keeping that same position where the chin is in relationship to the level of the floor, if that makes sense. So I'm not lifting up or down. I'm just going along that horizontal plane or transverse plane. Over time, we can lose some range of motion in the cervical spine. So we always like to go through a nice, gentle range of motion for the neck. And then we have flexion and extension. Now for this one, you're not going to keep this L position. So drop your chin down towards your chest. And then you'll come up and slightly elevate the chin. And so with flexion and extension, we're just warming up the muscles that attach back behind the neck. The erector spinae comes all the way up behind the neck. And then if we combine all of these movements, we make circumduction. So we tilt side, kind of rotate, come down, and just make a nice little circle here, about 4 times one direction. And you're just checking in. How does the neck feel? Are you feeling any tightness, any pain, moving through a gentle range of motion? And then let's pause and reverse circumduction of the cervical spine. And it's kind of combining all those other actions: lateral flexion, rotation, flexion and extension. And I'm hearing a little bit of cracking, a little crunching, cracking. That's kind of normal for us older adults to experience a little bit of that. Degenerative disc disease to some degree. And then bring the head back to the center. So I want you to focus today on every movement that we do. Think about the purpose of the cervical spine, mostly being to support your head, no matter whatever position that we are in today. Then we come down to the thoracic spine. So this is the middle back. I want you to take your feet a little bit wider, turn your toes out, and let's start to do our dead arms warm up. So the thoracic spine, its purpose is to support the rib cage, to give us good posture. And then let's start to pick up off the heel and make this a little bit bigger. So that thoracic spine helps us to have upright posture, supports our rib cage, which then supports our internal organs, right? And the thoracic spine has a lot of muscular attachments to it. So a lot of the muscles of the back, the muscles of the core and the obliques attach along the thoracic spine. And the thoracic spine has 12 vertebrae. Let's come back to center and we'll start to do a little bit of lateral flexion side to side. Now, our lumbar spine does allow for some lateral flexion as well. So this is working, a little bit more than just the thoracic spine, but they kind of blend together. And then same thing with the fingertips at the shoulders. So we have a little bit more leverage and load. And then if it feels okay for your body, then go ahead and add a little extension of the upper arm. And we're stretching through the lat muscles that do attach along the thoracic spine. The purpose of the thoracic spine is also to provide shock absorption. So the disc material in between the vertebrae give a little bit of cushioning and shock absorption. Great. Okay, and then let's bring the hands down toward the knees and then begin to come into standing cat. So tuck the tailbone under and then standing cow. And where I want you to focus is down here in the lumbar region. The lumbar spine has 5 large vertebrae. And the purpose of the lumbar spine is to support the entire upper body. So the weight of the head, the weight of the shoulders, the weight of the trunk, the weight of the rib cage, the weight of the arms. So all of that is supported in the lumbar spinal region. So the lumbar spine has a big job. It also acts as an attachment area for the hip flexors. Okay, let's round the spine all the way up. Take a nice big inhale and exhale. From there, I'd like you to take your time to come down onto your back as we continue to warm up the spine and talk about it. So I've got my blanket here up toward my head position. So the spine should feel a little bit warmed up, but then we're going to take it into more of a range of motion for the lumbar spine. So once you come down onto your back, I just want you to bend your knees, set your feet flat, and notice your lumbar spine. It's that 5 vertebrae in your lower back, and you should feel like that part of your back is slightly lifted up off the floor. But if we engage our abdominal muscles and push our low back down, that's a little bit of a pelvic tilt. We're flattening the lumbar region. And then inhale and release that back to neutral, letting your back float back up away from the mat. Then exhale, push your lower back down into the floor. Inhale and release it. So just do a few of those. Still warming up through the lower back. Now, if you tend to have some issues in your lower back, I kind of want to get away from thinking in our brain that we have a bad back, because I'd rather focus on all of the wonderful things that our spine can do and does for us and the purpose of the spine, rather than thinking, I always have problems with my back. I have a bad back. So for today, let's consider all the positive aspects of the lower back and what it can do for us, what it does for us every day. Okay, coming back to neutral, take your feet a little bit wider. Start to drop your knees from side to side into windshield wipers. Just nice and easy. Getting a little text? Okay, just wanted to make sure that wasn't from you guys. So a little bit of a drop from side to side of the knees. And what this does is it starts to tip the pelvis from side to side, a little bit of rotation. And our lumbar spine doesn't have that much mobility and rotation. So we're not really rotating the lumbar. It's coming up into the lower part of the thoracic spine here. But our shoulder blades are down on the mat. We're feeling a gentle stretch and release through the hip flexors. And those hip flexors, again, attach to the lumbar spine. So if our hip flexors are very, very tight, then sometimes we feel that as a tightness in our lower back. Let's go one more time each direction. Great. Come back to the center. Bring your feet closer together. Extend your right leg out onto the mat. Inhale the arms above your head. Exhale, pull the right knee up into your chest and lift your head and shoulders up off the mat. Then inhale back down, lengthen the leg and the arms. Exhale, pull the knee into the chest. And just do these at your own pace. And we're relaxing the head down to the floor each time so that we don't build up a lot of tension in our neck with these. Let's get two more. This is called our wind relieving pose. Is a very therapeutic exercise for the lumbar spine. Holding the last one, keep the knee in, but just let your head find the mat again. And let's circle the ankle several times around to one direction, and then several times the other direction. And you're flattening your low back, the lumbar spine, down into the mat. Great. Let's set your right foot back down to the mat. Lengthen your left leg long. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, pull the knee in. So as we're raising our head and our shoulder up off their shoulder blades up off the mat, we're flexing through the cervical spine and the thoracic spine. We want to make sure not to jam our chin all the way into the chest. So have a little space between your chin and chest, enough to just fit maybe a little tennis ball in between there. Okay, one more time. Bring it up. Then set the head and shoulders back down to relax the neck. Circle the ankle. Several times one direction, maybe 4 or 5. And reverse, pressing your low back down into the floor, just like you have a little sponge underneath your back and you're trying to squeeze water out of the sponge. That helps you connect with muscles of the core. Okay, set that left foot back down to the floor. Lengthen the right leg out, inhale. This time as you exhale, lift the leg up, maybe a little tiny bend in the knee, and then lower back down. So it's like we're doing a single leg raise with an abdominal crunch. If your hamstrings are tight, let your knees bend quite a bit, or your knee as you're coming up. Let's do 2 more. Lift. And 1 more. And then relax. Take a breather. Just notice what you're feeling in your low back. While you're doing those, make sure that you're pressing the lumbar spine down. Lengthen the left leg. Inhale. Exhale, lift. Push your lumbar spine into the mat. Bending the knee any amount that you need to. Actively lengthening the hamstring. You can also support your neck by having your hands behind your head. And 1 more. And then relax both feet back down onto the floor. We'll come into a pelvic tilt. Push your low back down into the floor and then lift your hips up into bridge and hold. Tensing the glute muscles, firing the hamstrings and the backs of the legs. 3 breaths. Nice work here. 2 more. And 1 more breath. Then roll the hips back down onto the mat. Hug one knee into the chest, then the other, so you have both knees up. We'll allow the knees to shift side to side, just gently. Now, if this feels problematic for you, put your feet on the floor and do it just like a little windshield wiper here. So make sure this feels okay. And then we're going to come into some egg beater circles. So bring your knees in the center, keep your feet together, separate your knees like a clamshell, then press your knees away from your body, close your knees together and come in. So we open, push out, close, come in, and your feet always stay connected. So it's like you're opening out into a clamshell or a butterfly stretch, and then you're moving the legs. So it's activating the core muscles. Keep your low back connected into the mat. And then when you're ready, let's reverse the direction of this. So we push the knees forward, then we open, pull the knees toward the armpits, and close the knees together. And I like to do this using my hands to kind of direct my knees, but you don't have to. And then reconnect with your lumbar spine. Really press it down into the mat. This is a wonderful strengthener for your core and very therapeutic for the low back. Let's do one more egg beater circle this direction. And close in. Great. Let's come into happy baby. So we'll bring our feet up like we're going to put them on the ceiling and then open our knees out. We can put our hands right here behind our thighs and kind of pull the knees in toward the armpit. Or if you can reach your feet, you can bring your hands up and grab the outside edges of your feet. And this is a wonderful stretch and release for the lumbar spine. But just take this to a very comfortable edge. And then sometimes with happy baby, we rock a little bit from side to side, just like a little baby would that had hold of their feet, just finding their feet for the first time in their lives and rocking side to side. Beautiful. Okay, let's set the feet back down. We're going to change to hands and knees. So take your time to either roll over or roll yourself up. And then I'm going to show you a nice little option here. If you have some wrist problems, what's really nice to do is to use a little rolled up towel or blanket and set your hands, the heel of your hands, on the blanket with your fingers slanted down towards the floor. This allows your wrists not to be so flexed like this, but it gives it a little bit less of an angle. So that's something you can do for your wrists as we're going to be on our hands and knees for a bit. Otherwise, you can use it for knee padding as well. Okay, so from hands and knees, let's come into cat and cow again for the lumbar spine. So rounding the back up into cat, tucking the tailbone, and then reversing that into cow. Now, I find that doing this on hands and knees, I have more range of motion capability than when I'm doing that standing up like we did earlier in class. So take advantage of the ability to move the spine a little bit more from this position. And let's do one more of each, a cat and a cow, and come back to neutral. At any time you need a break for your wrists, you can shake them out, come down to your elbows if you need to as well. Then let's move the right leg straight back into the first part of a bird dog. Level off your hips, and then bring that knee back to find the floor and switch legs. Extend the left leg back and come in. So we're really focusing on a main purpose of the entire spine or core, which is stabilization. Because I'm not doing any spinal flexion or rotation or circumduction, my spine is staying exactly neutral, even though I'm taking one limb away from the floor. So we're focusing on stabilization of the spine. And then let's add in the opposite arm. So right leg, left arm, and in and return and switch. And just pick a nice pace for yourself on these. If you want to linger on one side and hold, you can, or make this one breath, one movement. And you can inhale as the arm and leg reach, exhale to return, or the opposite. Let's do 2 more on each side. And remember, you can also make fists for wrists or put your hands up on dumbbells. Last one. And then relax back down. Take a child's pose, whatever version that you like today. I'm going to bring my hands next to, or my arms next to the sides of my legs. Maybe roll your wrists out a little bit, or open and close your hands. And then we're going to come into alternating thread the needle. So come back up, hands and knees. So the way we'll perform this today is bend your right elbow and pull it up like a little bow and arrow. Then rotate and reach underneath your body. And then as you slide the hand out, just set it down to the floor. Then the left side will lift the elbow up. We'll reach it through and bring it to the mat. Alternating sides, the focus is on our posterior oblique muscles and that nice range of motion through spinal rotation. And I usually call it upward rotation of the back. So we're rotating upward, then reaching through and switching. So if you have a hand weight today and you would like to try adding workload with this, I'm going to bring a dumbbell right over here onto the right side of my body. I'm going to lift it up and rotate. And then as I put it through, I'm going to set it down on the left side of my mat and then come up. Then I'll take it with the left hand, I'll lift it up, I'll reach it through and set it down on the floor. So it's just a nice option to add some strength work to the posterior obliques. I was chilly before class started, and so I put on my sweatshirt. And now with these, I think I'm going to need to remove a layer. So while you guys are finishing this, keep going, keep going. So heating up the body, which I guess is a good sign. Those muscles are really activating. So let's get maybe 1 or 2 more on each side. And I'll do 1 more on each. I really feel the difference adding the weight, which is a 10-pounder for me. And then come back to neutral. Let's tuck our toes underneath and come into bear. So with bear, we pick our knees up off the floor just a couple of inches, and then we set our knees back down. Now again, if you have wrist issues, I have a couple of nice things you can do. Come up onto your fists. You can put your hands on a dumbbell so your wrist is straighter. You can make that little incline on your blanket. So knees come up, knees go down. And we're working through the stability of our spine. And this is another drill for our plank work. And we'll get 3 more bear poses. Knees up, knees down. 2 more. And down. Last one, knees up and down. Great job. Now you can keep your toes tucked under if you'd like, or you can turn them back the other way. We're just going to come up onto our knees here and shake our hands and arms out. Now, when we're on our knees, we kind of feel a little bit more of the tightness of our hip flexors. So I want you to tuck your tailbone under a little bit so that you're not in a big lumbar arch. So tuck the tailbone under, lengthen the hip flexors here. Bring the fists or hands back to your sacral area on either side of the low back. Draw your shoulder blades together, open up the heart, and lift the chest or the thoracic spine up toward the sky. And breathe. This is camel pose. Tighten those glutes, open up the hip flexors. Good, and come back up. Relax the arms and come down to either a child's pose or a bear pose. So if you want to work, come into bear. If you want to rest, come into child. And then if you're in bear, drop the knees, come back up. Keep your hips squared forward. Take your right fist on the side of your back, lift your left arm up, and then start to look over your right shoulder. Then lean back a little bit into your twisting camel, or you can bring your fingers back here to your heel, or if you have a block, you can set it right next to your foot and really look over your shoulder. Probably feeling a little bit more of a stretch on the left hip flexor than the right. Good, and come up. Take the hands back down, either child's pose for rest or bear pose for work. I kind of like bear because I get up off my knees for a second. And there's a lot of pressure on the knees when we're doing our camel. Okay, let's do the other side. Come up, take your left fist right into that sacral region. Lift your right arm. Start to look over your left shoulder and lean back just a little bit, lifting the heart. And stretch and breathe. Just going to a very comfortable spinal extension here. Great job. Come back down. Your last time for either a child's pose or bear, or even a cat stretch would be nice. Great job. And relax. If your toes are tucked under, turn those back over. And we can take one more child's pose together. Just checking in to see how you're feeling. I'd like to come into a downward facing dog. If you prefer to use your chair, please feel free to come up. I have mine there so I can use it if needed. So if you'd like to use your chair, please feel free, especially if you have some wrist issues. Otherwise, we'll tuck our toes under, lift our hips up off the mat. You can have your knees bent as much as you need here and really lengthen the spine. So we should slightly tip our tailbone up so that it gives us that neutral spinal alignment in the lumbar spinal area. And just breathe. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Press the ball mound of your thumb and index finger into the mat or into the chair if you're using your chair for down dog. And we'll take 3 more breaths here. Try to peel apart your shoulder blades a little. Then on that third exhale, we'll start to walk either our hands toward our feet or our feet toward our hands, or a little combination of both. so that we can eventually come into a forward fold or a half lift forward fold. Now, as much as we can here, try to keep a neutral spine with your back so you're not curving and rounding in order to reach down. So you have the tailbone tipped back slightly, neutral cervical position, as well as thoracic and lumbar. And then we can bend the knees a little bit more, rise up, maybe let the hands connect together, and press the hips forward and lengthen the spine. No need to do a back bend unless you'd like to, and you can take a little bit more range of motion in extension here. So keep the palms together, sit into chair, and press the palms vigorously inward toward each other. Then inhale, reach back up. Exhale, sit into chair and press. Keep going at your own pace. Your feet can be hips distance apart. Make sure the knees are tracking and not knocking in towards each other. This is something that I see a lot in chair pose, is doing a knock knee. So keep those knees pressed out. Now we're going to add some spinal rotation with this. So we'll inhale, reach up. Then as we sit into chair, rotate the spine one direction, but try not to let your knees rotate that way. So we want to keep our pelvis squared, our knees squared, but our thoracic spine is in rotation. Then we'll reach up, sink into chair, and twist the other direction. And when you're twisting, I want you to press the palm into the other one. So I'm twisting to the right, and I'm pushing my left palm into my right palm. Inhale. Now I want you to think about those posterior obliques as you do this. So as you sit into chair, do that upward rotation of your back and connect with the muscles of the spine on your back that give you that rotation. And you're adding, of course, the cervical spinal rotation, looking over the shoulder back behind your body. Good. Now I really feel the heat building in this flow. Let's do one more each direction. I'm going to go ahead and face my chair again. Then reach up, swan dive down. Hands can either find the chair or the floor and step back into your downward dog again. Now notice the ease of your down dog here as compared to the first time we did that before. Might feel some difference. Breathe. And then from here, we're going to bring the right foot forward and set the left knee down onto the mat. So we're in a kneeling lunge. We want to try to walk the back knee back behind the hip a little bit. So take your time to elongate through the hip flexor and to find that low lunge. I'm supporting on the chair here, but you can support on your thigh. You can raise your arms to find a little bit more of a stretch through the hip flexor. And then if you'd like to add a twist, we can bring the left elbow across the right thigh, gazing over the right shoulder. So just another level if you'd like to add that layer. And take 3 breaths. Great. Come back to center. Let's begin to straighten out the front knee and enjoy a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. Again, you can use the chair, you can use blocks. Using the dumbbell is really nice as a support here if you need that. Pulling the toes up, a nice stretch along the posterior chain. Try not to curve your back. Keep your spinal alignment as neutral as you can. Then before we switch sides, I want you to think about where you want to go to switch. So you could do a child's pose. You could come back into a downward dog if you liked, where we were before. So I'm just going to come around like so and relax into child's. No rush to get to the other side. Enjoy the sensations that you're feeling after having done the right side. And then we'll come up and we can take that left foot forward. Take your time to find a nice low lunge. Kneeling lunge, referred to as Anjaneyasana. Hands can support, you can lift, or we can add that rotation, twisting over the front thigh. So our goal here is to release the hip flexor of the back leg. And in turn, that releases tension in your lower back as the hip flexor attaches on the lumbar spine. One more breath. Good. Coming out of that optional rotation, we'll start to straighten the front leg any amount, using any props that you would like to here to support your body. So the amount that we fold forward doesn't really matter. It's the amount of stretch that you are feeling no matter what your position is. And we want that stretch to be at a comfortable, easy, soft edge, not too intense or dramatic, not to the point that you're straining your muscles or they're shaking. Great job. And then start to consider where you would like to go from this stretch, maybe back into a child's pose, or you can do a bear pose if you'd like, or a down dog. I'm going to lift into down dog this time. It might feel nice to come off of my knees a bit. And then taking your time to come into a easy pose or easy cross-leg pose. We'll come back down. If you need a blanket to sit on or a block, give yourself some support here in the seated position. Good. Nice and tall. So we've done some movement of the spine seated. We've done movement kneeling, and now doing some seated movement of the spine. So let's bring the right fingertips down to the mat. Take your left arm up and do a nice side or lateral flexion. And really press your left sitting bone down into the floor so you're not rocking up onto your right glute. And then let's rotate the body just slightly so you're reaching across, kind of on a diagonal. So we've got lateral flexion combined with rotation, and then a nice dynamic reach of the arms. So you're really opening up the muscles of the back. Then open back out and come up. Good. We'll do that to the other side. So start with a side stretch. Hold here and keep the right glute down into the floor. Feel the connection of the muscles of your core working and the breath moving. Then start to add moderate rotation, reaching out on a diagonal. Good. Open that back out gently. And come up. We'll do that again with a little bit of a variation. So we'll side stretch. Then add rotation. And then I want you to look at your right knee and put your left hand on it. So you're just going to reach across and then come up and rotate. So look way behind your body. Then keep the hand on the knee, come out of the twist, and side bend away from that right side. Good, good. And come back up. Releasing the knee, we'll repeat to the other side. So we start with our side stretch to the left. Add rotation. Then place the right hand right on your left knee. Pull yourself up and side stretch away. Beautiful. And come up and release. Come just to a seated position with your feet in front of you, because we're going to practice some variations for boat pose. So I'd like you to keep your spine really long. I can turn sideways for you as well. And then take your hands underneath your legs and lean back a little bit, and then sit up and come forward. So a really nice option is to provide support for your core by holding behind the legs and coming up. Let's do that one more time. And come up. These can also be done sitting in a chair, which is a great benefit. Okay, next time we reach the arms in front of us here, hinge back. You don't have to go real far, and come back up. And I'd like you to exhale when you're going back. So breathe out. Breathe in as you sit up. Great job. Let's do one more. And you can go back to supporting behind the leg. And then let's take a break by opening the knees into a butterfly stretch. So just allow the chest to drop through that space between the legs. Our goal is not to round and hunch our back, but keep the spine long and slide the shoulder blades down your back. And then come up and close the knees together. Let's hold behind the left knee with your left hand. And then as you lean back, rotate out to the right and reach your hand behind you any amount. And then come back in and sit up. Then you'll go to the left side and sit up. Of course, the option is holding under the opposite leg to give yourself a little bit of support. To dial it up, reach both arms forward as you lean back, rotate out to the right, and rotate out to the left. Another option, as you're rotating to the right, you can put your hand down onto the floor to support your body here and take a little bit of body weight out of the core. Let's do one more each side. And And then as you come up, let your right knee open like a butterfly and your left leg straighten. And we will hinge forward, just a nice gentle stretch for the left hamstring as well as the right hip. You can bring your fingers behind your body. I like this little extra with the stretch and kind of use my hands to guide my body forward. It also helps to prevent you from rounding your back. And then come back up. Bring both knees back to bend. We're going to support behind the thighs. Lift the right leg up, set it down. Lift the left leg up, set it down. Our level 1 is to support, or we can even put our fingers back behind us this way. Another option is to let go, lifting one leg at a time. If you start to feel pain in your lumbar spine, sometimes it helps to do a C curve. So I'm going to just accentuate that. So I typically don't teach rounding of the back in this, but it does help with any lumbar discomfort to do a C curve. Let's do one more on each leg. And then sit up. Allow your left knee to open out and your right leg to straighten. Sit tall. And try that reaching behind and see how you like with that stretch. Or if you have your yoga strap handy or you can reach the foot, you can stretch with the arms in front of you. And maybe find a nice ujjayi breath here. The whisper breath, the ocean breath, where we slightly constrict the back of our throat as we exhale, making that whisper sound. And then come back up. Bring the knees back to bend. Our last boat pose is to hold our boat. So about 1 minute if you can. So your options are going to be to hold behind here, to hold back here, sitting in a chair. You can keep your feet on the floor or you can lift your feet up. And let's begin and breathe. So many options here. The purpose is to provide stabilization for our spine. But we want to stay within our own limitations here. You can always come out of the pose, take a break, or switch what you're doing. 30 seconds to go. Another option is to cross your ankles and let your knees open. If you're feeling it in your low back, that helps to release your hip flexors. Good. What do we got? 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Sit all the way back up. Extend both legs out to straight, or you could do butterfly again if you prefer. And let's take one more forward fold. Hands can come behind or reach out. Relax the low back. Relax the hamstrings. Good. Let's sit up tall. We'll keep the right leg straight. Bend the left knee. You can keep your foot on the inside of the right thigh or you can cross it over. Hug your knee into the opposite shoulder. Reach the hand behind. Come into a nice twist and hold. Now really activate this lengthened leg. So flex the foot, tighten the muscles. Sit as tall as you can. Really lengthen upward. And then notice where the rotation is in your spine. It's not much in the lumbar. You're finding that twist through the thoracic region as well as the cervical region. Now, if we keep our twist this direction, but turn our head only the opposite direction, this creates a different kind of twist, where the spine is twisting left, the head is twisting right. Good. One more breath here. And come back to the center. Great job. Unfold that left leg. Bend the right knee. Choose to set your foot to the inside or to the outside. Sit tall, hug the knee in toward the opposite shoulder. Gently move into the twist the opposite direction. Lengthen the spine upward as much as you can. Rotate, looking back over the shoulder as far as you can look. And then keep your chest or the cervical to the right side, but turn your head to the left. Allow the breath to continue moving, a nice, slow, even pace. Good, and come back to center. Unfold the leg. We'll take one final little forward fold here. Not too long, but just enough to lengthen out the spine one more time and the hamstrings. And then take your time to come back onto your feet. So any way that feels comfortable for you to do so. All the way back up to stand. And just check in. How's the spine feeling? Maybe move through any movements of the head and neck that you would like to. Just to check in and notice how it might feel differently from the beginning of class. No right or wrong, just move your head. And then we'll open the arms out to the side. Pull your shoulder blades back just a little bit. Open the chest. Then as you exhale, wrap the right arm on top of the left into either eagle arms or a hug or a single arm stretch across the front. Then from here, add any movements of the neck that you would like. So we're getting a nice stretch through the shoulder blades, the upper thoracic spine, and also the cervical. Our lumbar is supported and stable. Good. Let's unravel the arms, pull back, chest expansion. Nice big inhale. Then bring the left arm on top of the right. You can hug, single arm stretch, or wrap into eagle. And then more movement of the head and neck. Just find maybe a spot that might feel a little tight. Just try to release it. And then unwrap the arms. Either hold here or maybe take a chest expansion, interlacing your hands behind your back. And then one last time, find some movement of the head and neck. So we've put some different muscles on stretch each time that we've applied the movements of the cervical spine. And come back to center. Release the hands. For those of you that might not have been with me on Tuesday, it was Joyce's birthday, and I finished class with the breath of joy, or the breath of Joyce as we call it today. So we'll do 3 rounds of the breath of Joyce. So exhale fully. Inhale the arms forward. Inhale out. Inhale up. Exhale through the mouth. 2 more. Inhale nose. Inhale nose. Inhale nose. Exhale mouth. Last one. And then come up, palms at heart center in our Anjali Mudra, where we pause and honor our hard work today in our dedication of the health of our spirit, mind, and body, and of the LisaBug community. And the joy and purpose that reside within my heart honor the joy and purpose in the hearts of each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me for this purposeful practice regarding our spine. If you can hang out and chat, that would be fantastic.